I greet you warmly and extend a special thanks to all the organizing colleagues of this event. My name is Carlos Eduardo Martínez Daza. I am a doctor and educator, prenatal with 3 decades of research and teaching in prenatal psychology and prenatal life in Colombia, the country of beauty. The conference I'm going to present today is not about a program that is already up and running at all. Rather, it's a conference that I have prepared specifically for this invitation. I have titled it Global Prenatal Education Program for the Effective Enjoyment of the Right to Health, which we can implement in a very short time. And to get it started among all the organizations present at this event dedicated to prenatal life, whether in research or in outreach. I'm going to start by presenting what I see as a real issue. The old paradigms that resist falling when it comes to human prenatal life. I base myself on the presentation of Dr. David Chamberlain, titled The Prenatal Psyche, Evidence for a New Perspective, published in the Journal of Prenatal and Perinatal Psychology and Medicine in 2005, which invites us to reflect deeply on how current scientific evidence presents a new paradigm that seeks to destroy the old paradigms about human prenatal life, based on myths and erroneous interpretations. Moving from the concept of prenatal babies as passive and helpless in the womb, without memory or awareness of their surroundings, to babies in the womb who are fully active, with abilities for learning, memory, response, communication with their environment, and an active psyche, independent of brain development, and moreover with a very good expression of emotions through body language. The preconceptions that keep these outdated paradigms alive include statistics that ignore the 9 months of gestation, as well as those that discuss ages between 0 and 5 years, etc. Healthcare systems focused only on the physical medical protocols that treat the prenatal baby as a passive patient. Dehumanizing language regarding the prenatal baby, referring to it as a product or a fetus, and insufficient legal frameworks regarding prenatal rights. So what to do then? We know from experience the enormous difficulties people face when it comes to making real paradigm shifts when societies require them. Because we also know very well that science is advancing, in this case, in prenatal life, in the knowledge of prenatal life, but our social, institutional, and political structures, most of the time, they don't. This simple minimalist illustration presents the problem in a more graphic way. Notice the little man drawn there who tries to do what many of us do with big justifications, great efforts, and good intentions. Trying to break down the enormous paradigm with just a small hammer in his hands. And I want to make it clear here that I have no doubt that one day that little man can achieve his goal to break down the paradigm, to bring down the big rock. But at what cost? Despite how many lives could have been saved, or how many could have been improved with preventive help to make them more worthy of being lived. The old paradigm holds that babies are passive and helpless, that babies do not learn or remember, that babies do not feel pain, and that babies cannot experience emotions. And practices like surgeries under anesthesia on newborns have even emerged, which show the persistence of these very outdated beliefs. Paradigm-shifting wall be overcome. In fact, it is known from neuroeducation that neural networks undergo a certain reorganization as new information is integrated, new information within existing cognitive frameworks. Or, to put it another way, more colloquially, we change the way we think as we incorporate something new. What follows in this presentation is just a solution for overcoming those old paradigms about human prenatal life. This is the framework of our Global Prenatal Education Program for the effective enjoyment of the right to health. First of all, The entire program is based on the concept of digital learning, better known as e-learning. E-learning then consists of learning through digital resources. In turn, micro-learning is a form of e-learning that is characterized by short lessons or knowledge bites organized into modules. Micro-learning allows for adapting and personalize the learning. It's a tool widely used in modern distance education systems and modern digital education systems. The program has 6 thematic axes that aim to cover the broad landscape of scientific and cultural knowledge about prenatal life and prenatal education. These are the 6 thematic axes. So, human conception, the emotional bond, the mother-baby bond, communication, the mother-baby bond, natural prenatal education, humanized childbirth, and the development of prenatal senses. Additionally, as you can see in the graph, the program is supported by 2 main pillars. On one hand, the effective enjoyment of the right to health developed by the World Health Organization. Since its foundation, but especially starting in the year 2000, it established the 4 essential elements: availability, accessibility, quality, and adaptability as an evaluative framework for the right to health in all countries. Second, a great pillar, the skills-based learning framework from the Global Learning and Skills Trends Report by Udemy for 2024 and 2025. This allows us to structure prenatal education not just as information, but as the development of practical skills for future parents, creating a transformative learning experience. Let's remember that Udemy is one of the platforms for educational development, education through digital media. Bigger for organizations and companies around the world. It's a great digital learning platform that has been awarded several times as one of the best digital learning platforms for organizations and companies in the world. Here we have the 4 pillars for the effective enjoyment of the right to health promoted by the World Health Organization, and in this case, aimed at giving a human rights perspective to the Global Prenatal Education Program. So we have universal availability, ensuring access to knowledge about prenatal development through digital platforms and low-cost resources, adapted to different levels of technological access, from smartphones to basic text messaging, accessibility to scientific information as we will use social networks, mobile applications, and instant messaging with intuitive interfaces and audiovisual formats that can overcome digital and geographical literacy barriers, educational quality through implementation and scientific validation by international experts. Each of the modules will be regularly updated to reflect the latest scientific advancements, ensuring that the information is accurate and evidence-based, and cultural acceptability, since we adapt the materials from various contexts through universal pedagogical elements such as music and narrative, theater, literature, working with local experts to respect cultural traditions related to pregnancy and human parenting. As an illustration, I want to present the meaning of the symbols that accompany this global prenatal education proposal. It contains 3 very simple elements. On one side, a globe framed by a light blue color. A couple whose silhouette is visually presented from a top-down perspective, as known by architects and those dedicated to topography, where their heads and hands are intertwined, with a view from the sky, in a red color that represents blood as the vital tissue of communication, mother-baby prenatal, and it then reveals the symbol of infinity. A couple of round figures that represent 2 replicating and life-generating cells with their respective nuclei. It expresses the intimate fusion of the membranes of these 2 germ cells. Taken together then, the symbols aim to signify the global human reach of a prenatal education program to make the effective enjoyment of the right to health possible, as proposed by the World Health Organization. Let's take a look at some figures then. This slide presents some figures that outline the scope of this proposal. This information can be very useful to contextualize the importance of prenatal education on a global level and the potential audience that could be reached with innovative and low-cost teaching methods. First of all, the approximate size of the world population is highlighted, which is around 8 billion people. We highlight there the category of speakers of other languages. This is significantly large, with about 4.636 billion people, reflecting global linguistic diversity. The number of internet users is also highlighted, with about 5 billion people, which remains a very large category in relation to the world population. This chart shows us the importance of taking into account when it comes to global prenatal education, languages, dialects, and also kind of internet and social media users. This slide then represents the order of magnitude of the global general population. In relation to internet users, which amounts to about 5 billion users, including social media, by 2024, this doesn't differ much from the figures in March 2025, which is where we are now. Our potential global reach then includes about 5.2 billion people aged 8 to 49, which represents roughly 63% of the world's population. So this would be our target audience. The reach looks big, but as Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. Next, then, the most important advantages of the Global Prenatal Education Program for the effective enjoyment of the right to health. The main advantages of our program are low implementation costs, wide global accessibility, use of family platforms, cultural adaptability, community participation, and the development of practical skills for prenatal education. For good parenting, evidence-based information improves maternal and child health and empowers future parents. Or for anyone in the world, and promoting early emotional bonds, which would ensure great success in global prenatal education. Next, the scope of the program. We can reach a total population between the ages of 8 and 49 of about 5.2 billion people. That amounts to, as we already saw, roughly 63% of the global population. Women of reproductive age, about 2 billion. Men of reproductive age, about 2.6 billion. Childhood between the ages of 8 and 12, around 650 million. English speakers, 1.5 billion, but also of Spanish, French, and other languages that are very important. When it comes to delivering a program that can be understandable, acceptable, and culturally respected. Other attributes of our global prenatal education program include the duration of the campaign, which is ongoing with periodic updates, and a reporting frequency that can be quarterly. Compliance with rights, as we already saw, has high availability because we use widely distributed platforms. Accessibility is high as it is free, available in multiple languages, and has low technological requirements. The quality is high because we provide information based on sufficiently updated evidence. And acceptability is high because we are culturally adapted with community participation, and we have a variety of tools available, as we already saw, to be able to culturally reach many scenarios that we currently cannot easily access. Our model is characterized by production through artificial intelligence, as we optimize resources using avatars, videos, and automatically generated voices, and multi-platform distribution using WhatsApp, Telegram, and social media with automated delivery systems. Contextually adapted as we prioritize key languages. We culturally adapt the material, and we validate the information with local and international experts. And we have quality control implemented through automated metrics and continuous improvement based on feedback from users, just like social networks usually operate. This approach then transforms the way we understand and adequately care for life from a global, human, and intercultural perspective. So let's take a look at some of the things we can achieve, what we can reach, and what we can do with artificial intelligence tools. People enjoying learning about prenatal life through microlearning. It would be wonderful to see these scenarios in real life. Our goal, ultimately, is to bring prenatal education to La Palma alongside people all over the world, breaking down barriers to build a new global paradigm on prenatal care, a global paradigm that is grounded in scientific evidence, which will please all of us who are making an effort to teach about this wonderful discipline. It's about time we start using ethically based on evidence and with cultural respect. Cutting edge technological tools like augmented reality to implement in global prenatal education. The visual material you are about to see is a small collection of some of the images and videos I have managed to obtain. Through these 2 years of research and the use of artificial intelligence tools, I have finally created a teaching material, a very valuable educational resource that cannot be obtained in any other way, providing an approach to what the life of babies in the womb can really look like visually. You will see wonderful details like the texture of the skin, the eyes, the movements, the gestures, the umbilical cord, and even the amniotic membrane and amniotic fluid. But above all, we can represent all the research that science currently has about babies in the womb. And they can be represented pedagogically, educationally through generative artificial intelligence tools to use in any context. And they are very valuable. And they have allowed me to present and create this program that I am sharing with you today. The video you are about to see is a short video clip created entirely with artificial intelligence. In its text design, in its image generation, and in its video production, it's a small sample of what can be done with artificial intelligence.
Welcome to the Global Prenatal Education Program for the effective enjoyment of the right to health. Today, organizations worldwide unite in an unprecedented mission, ensuring the well-being of every human being from conception. This is not about institutional competition, it's about global collaboration for a social transformation. It is known that human life in the mother's womb is the beginning of the formation of personality and social life. Together, we can make this historic change possible.
The video you are about to watch is very valuable. It has two essential components. One, which is created with generative artificial intelligence, partly using generative AI tools for video, image, and text. And it has another component which consists of two studies on prenatal crying, one conducted in 1955 in Barranquilla, Colombia. By Dr. Eduardo Acosta-Bendec, I had the privilege of receiving from him an audio document of the only recording that has been made to date in the world of a prenatal cry, the only recorded sound, a sound recording of prenatal crying. And the other is a study conducted in 2005 in New Zealand by a group of researchers who were doing an ultrasound study on the activity of babies in prenatal life, focusing on movements, and they recorded a very important finding. There were some movements that they referred to as activities similar to infant crying, but in reality, it's prenatal crying. It's an ultrasound recording of a baby in the activity of prenatal crying.
For decades, we believed emotions began with the first cry at birth. But science revealed something extraordinary. Babies cry in the womb. This discovery, first documented in Colombia in 1955 and then in New Zealand in 2005, shows us that babies in the mother's womb can cry, proving that emotions and consciousness are present long before birth. As we discover these first emotions, we understand that our story is wonderful and makes us worthy of loving and respectful care during gestation, birth, and all the years to come. Human consciousness does not wait to be born.